in the post game. I mean, first off, watching Rex talk about it, like I was like sobbing immediately. And I was thinking of Mangold, and this video is still on our YouTube channel. The first pro athlete I ever sat down and interviewed properly, and it was for Turn on the Jets. I don't know why I had an opportunity to interview him. It was like a weird sponsorship thing. It was in the MetLife building in New York City, the one over like by Grand Central. And I had like 15 minutes to sit and interview him. And I was like 25, I think at the time. It was 12 years ago. No professional experience interviewing anyone. That's actually like, I have no experience interviewing people. This is all I have in experience of doing it. And I was a nervous wreck. I was fumbling all over my lines. I was asking, and he could tell I was a nervous wreck. And he was joking with me. He made me relax a little bit. He had to like do different like reads for us, like watch this or read this on Turn on the Jets. He's like, this doesn't make any sense. He's like, let's do it this way. And coached me through it and like hung out and just like shot the shit with me after. I think it was before the 2014 season, listening back to the interviews. So that was just an incredibly nice experience. And then since then, he's been on the show a few times. I think we had him on about like 6 or 7 months ago. Always responsive, always nice, always patient. A guy who local, living in Jersey with his family, and all my firsthand experiences match up to everything I've ever heard about the guy, which is that he was just easy to be around and nice and kind and patient. And everyone in and around the organization felt that way. And on the field was awesome. I remember I was a freshman in college when they drafted him at the end of the first round and being so excited because he was one of the few offensive linemen, like you knew. He played for a huge program. He had the hair. He was a center. And he was immediately great with Brick. And he was just here for a decade and just great every year, starting, playing, just like a fixture in the middle of that offensive line, and was just so much about what those teams were about that made the playoffs in 2006, made the AFC championship runs in 2009 and 2010, won 10 games in 2015. He spanned all the way from Pennington and Mangini to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Todd Bowles. Like, think about how much stuff happened in between all that. And again, it's just shocking, gutting news. Obviously, we knew a few weeks before he was looking for a kidney. You didn't think it was going to be something that moved that quick. And for, Jet fans around our age, like, we grew up watching him play football. He's 3 years older than me. It just sucks. And it's been nice to see how the fan base and the organization has kind of rallied around it. It's one of the nice things of being part of a fan base and a community. And I think when we find out, if they're a more like formal place where they're doing donations first thing, we will figure something out. In the meantime, a friend of the pod, Matt O'Leary, is doing a great, raising money for the National Kidney Foundation. Go grab one of the shirts. We both grabbed one today. We'll share the link in the description. And again, the patience he had with a dopey ass 25-year-old, like stumbling through a 15-minute interview that had to be the last thing he wanted to do at the time, is the best one-to-one experience I could give, for him, than getting to be in a room with him in person for a half hour. So those are my Mangold thoughts and memories.
And I think it speaks to the kind of person he was, that so many people echo everything you said, whether it was doing something with him in the media. Obviously, I said this when the news came out Sunday morning. The highest compliment you can give a player is really how proud they made you to be a fan of the team. Yep. And with Nick Mangold, he was the type of dude that whether it was every event or Pro Bowls or training camp or on Hard Knocks, you were just so proud that dude was wearing the jersey of the team that you rooted for. You really were. I remember going all the way back to when they drafted him, because that 2006 draft, I think I was in 8th grade. And I remember when you're in 8th grade, like when you're that young, you're starting to understand things about like of the game, but you're also rooting for the best skill players in college football to go to your team.
Yep.
So when the Jets drafted Brick and Mangold, no one was happier than my father.
Yeah, which your dad had to be pumped.
Anybody, knowing how much Big Ten football he loves and how much he loves building from the inside out. And he had to talk me, and he's like, this is the right move. This is going to set them up for a decade, and he loved both players, especially in college. And I'm like, all right, like, it just took the life out of me, because it's like, how excited could you be as a kid for your 2 first-round rookies to be offensive linemen? And by the time 2008 came around, with the way this team started to run the football and that, that period of time, especially in '09 and 10, you started to really get it, that you had something. I actually think we were almost spoiled by Mangold, because it's funny, certain franchises just have this run at positions that some fans, depending on when they're born, don't know what it's like to be at a deficit of that position, right? The most famous one people always talk about is quarterback with the Packers. For me, it's goalie as a Rangers fan. Like, since I've been alive, the Rangers have always had an elite goalie, and I don't know what it's like for them not to. For a large portion of Jet fans, for many years, they just always had the best center in football.
Yep.
And the fact that Mangold stepped into the shoes of Kevin Mawai as a kid out of college is a situation that is literally impossible for anybody to fill that void, even 80% of that void. And you can argue Mangold was better. It's unbelievable. I think what really got me was just watching the clips of him, as a prospect, just hanging out in a polo and the backwards hat, and the pictures of him at Ohio State. And then after post-game Sunday, I was up really, really late at night. I just had a lot of adrenaline from the Jets winning, and I obviously watched Sunday Night Football, and I start getting ready for the week, and I could never really, I always say I got to be up really early Monday to get out to Connecticut, but I just can't go to sleep early. It's just not in my blood. So I've just waved the white flag. So I just start doing work in the middle of the night when no one's up. And I went back and I dug deep into the tape archives on my computer, and I was watching him and Willie together on 2014 and the 2015 team. And Willie had so many, beautiful things to say about Nick on our pre and post game show. And it just brought back memories of how great Mangold was. Even, what was that, year 9, 10?
Yeah. And
11,
still leading the way for Chris Ivory, and
leading the way for Chris Ivory, and just out there, and just, looked like a Viking, and, always had. And the thing is that really just blows your mind, because we live in a world today where sports science is a lot better. I think there's a lot more medical influence in the league, and all of these things are really good for the longevity of these guys. But it reminds you, not that long ago, a lot of football players just played. Yeah. And Nick Mangold, when you look at what him and Brick did, damn well that they were probably hurt almost all of those seasons. But you'd never hear it out of their mouths. You knew they'd suit up every single game that they physically could walk out on the field. So it hurt a lot. It hurt a lot because of his 4 kids and his wife, and he had so much life left to live. And he was an alumni that was still doing a lot of stuff with the organization. And I think the Jet fan, I'm 33 years old. So Nick Mangold is a massive, massive part of my New York Jets fandom life, because all of my good memories with the team, he's typically a part of for the most part. And all these bad years, like he'll do like media, or you can laugh at something he did, or he's a big personality, a bubbly personality out there. I know he was doing tailgate stuff with fans in the parking lot for a while. And we haven't had a lot to hold on to. So it just felt like such a gut punch. And it felt like you just wonder why these things happen. And I just, we as a company send our best to his family and everybody that knew him and is really struggling during this time. And like you said, we're going to look into doing our part in this, especially for, the awareness of kidney disease, and hopefully add some funds to the society trying to raise money for kidney disease awareness and research. And man, it hurts. There's really nothing else left to say. It has been really tough for this organization. And it's a very small, the tiniest of consolations, but I think it made winning that game just a little bit more special.
I think so too. It was an emotional day to be a part of this fan base, from end to end on Sunday. And like you said, our thoughts go out to the family, and just shitty news for a guy that all of us have a lot of great memories of, and was a big part of shaping why we do what we do today. And so rest in peace, Nick Mangold. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.